Greetings, folks. Welcome to another Saturday afternoon and another Catchup with Mayo. That's me. Livestream. Q&A, as I'm calling it more often. We'll see if we get questions, things like that in here. I'm just hanging out here, dreading, and I mean dreading, the blizzard that's supposed to come here over the next couple of days. And it's going to be pretty serious, they're saying. Sometimes they say it's going to be serious, and then it turns out not to be anything like they were saying. But I'm not looking forward to it. And my first comment I have here from Gary says, "Hello, Joe. Have you been to the store to stock up for tomorrow's blizzard? Hopefully it's the last one of the season." Well, first of all, when I look, and sometimes I'll go online and I'll look at the week ahead, or 10 days ahead, and they have more snow. After this one, they got more snow in the future. Look, we've been very spoiled around in my part of the country. The last several winters, it's been, sometimes we have no snow at all, or maybe one day with a light dusting or something. This already is the worst. And of course, we get Groove Dweller here, aka Mikey, formerly Mikey Tats. He loves it. What? Come on. I got to tell you, I'm not looking forward to it. And yes, I did indeed. I did indeed get to the store. I picked up a few things, mainly because my girlfriend is in Maine. She went to see her family in Maine by herself for the last couple of days. And she's supposed to come home Monday. And Mondays is when this is going to be at its worst. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. But I did go to the store just to have some stuff, on hand. Stuff that I have, eggs, some cheese, bananas, water, a little bit of meat, stuff like that. Got some stuff for myself. I'm not looking forward to this because I'll tell you, quite frankly, the last one we had was about a month ago, almost not quite a month ago. And I went out and I shoveled the snow because there was a little bit of snow I had to shovel that was kind of blocking my car in a little bit. And it wasn't that bad to shovel. Like, I handled it fine. And I didn't notice anything when I was shoveling, but I did notice after the fact, the next day, that I started having a pain in my right, not my hip, it's like my thigh, my outer thigh. I started having a pain. I think it was a muscle thing. You're using muscles, you're crouching down and you're shoveling the snow like that. And it lasted a freaking month, this pain. It's still not quite gone, but it's better today than it's been the last 3-4 weeks. So what am I saying? I'm not looking forward to another pile of snow to shovel. And I'm older now than I was in the past. So a small thing like that, there was no traumatic injury or anything like that. I didn't pull anything. But anyway, there's your long-winded answer, Gary. So, and James Farley, good afternoon. And Mike Wall-Jasper, hello. And George, hello. And I did just see Groove Dweller, a.k.a. Mikey Tats. I'll stop calling you that because your name now is Groove Dweller, really, right? But I saw him at my record store. I went to the record store a little while. Didn't buy anything, no. And George, how are you, George Smith? They're saying 17 inches now by me near Queens, New York. Yeah, terrible, man, terrible. Disgusting. Can't go anywhere, can't do anything. Awful. If you do get snowed in, any essential DVD watching, I have lots of. Are you kidding? I have so much to watch, but it's funny. I love the computer because I love YouTube. I make videos on YouTube. I spend a lot of time just sitting right here, and I don't like sitting all day, because you got to get up and move around. And I do like to walk every day, but I haven't done that in a while. But I usually do. I haven't done it. I usually stay right here on the keyboard, and I, tweak my channels. I transfer videos here and there. I do things. I watch other people's videos rather than watching movies and listening to music. That's what I'm doing, and I enjoy doing that. I have fun doing that, but doesn't get a lot done, Okay, it's only going to be 6 to 10 inches, no snow in Michigan. Yeah. Did you get a chance to see Paul's Q&A the other night after the film? I did see it. They had a little clip of after the movie. It wasn't a Q&A. It was just Paul and the director, Morgan Neville. They were just discussing a little bit with Paul and showing the little robot that was on stage with him, and having Paul try on one of his old early 1970s jackets and playing a little piano, very little. And that's the one I saw after the film. I didn't see Paul Q&A. You're not going to believe this, but an ice cream truck just passed by my apartment. Ice cream, yeah. Winter sucks, man. Winter sucks. Everything, there's nothing good about it. It's gray, it's cold, there's snow, there's ice. You run health risks just walking across to your car, trying to get in your car, sometimes, like when my car is parked, I have a parking space for my car, and when I try to get in my car, there's a patch of ice. Now, there was a patch of ice for weeks. And you're putting one foot outside and you're trying to slide in with the other leg, and you kind of like lose your footing on this ice as you're trying to get in. I mean, who needs this shit? Who needs this? It's okay when you're freaking 11 or 12, but anyway, after the final Beatles studio album box set is released, what will fans complain about next? Beatles fans always have something to complain about. Believe me, we know that. That's what you're saying, Daniel, and you're not wrong. I mean, there's always something. If you went on a week-long road trip and could play only one Beatles album over and over, oh my God, which would you choose? I hate the idea of playing one Beatles album over and over and over. As much as I love the Beatles, come on, I need a rest too. I guess the White Album. I don't know. I guess the White Album. Oh, look at those horrible snowflakes. Ma, come on. Come on. Hello, Yorkie girl. Hello, welcome to the Catchup with Mayo live stream. And fans will be complaining about no London Town and Back to the Egg archive boxes. This is true. There's always something. That's the nature, isn't it? The nature of the beast. It's not what you've got. It's what you haven't got that they continue to pick on, or complain about. What is George Harrison's best Indian influence song? Very good question. I like his Indian influence songs pretty much. I think The Inner Light. These days, I really like The Inner Light the best, to tell you the truth. I also think Love You Too off Revolver. Those might be my two favorite. The Inner Light, George says. That's what I think. Okay. I got some water here because I got the dry throat going. Okay, what do you know? This is exactly what people are saying. Hello, Anthony. I'm glad you enjoy the McCartney Man on the Run. Oh, how correct you are, Joe, about this awful winter blues. This wicked winter causes a lot of accidents and sickness. That's another thing. And you say summer number one, obviously. And it causes sickness also, the flu and winter and getting sick in the winter and catching stuff. Come on, man. Do you fear that eventually there will be an AI Beatles in the future? AI is a scary thing, like anything else. It has its uses and it has its good points, has its advantages. But already what's really killing me is I see a lot of online Beatles photos, the Beatles in black and white meeting Frank Sinatra, the Beatles hanging out with Elvis. And if you didn't know any better, if you didn't know and you haven't been around as long as I was and watching all this kind of stuff, seeing the real pictures, you'd think it was a real picture. There's lots of newbies out there, younger people that haven't really been into the Beatles that long. They're going to think these are real pictures. History is going to get changed. You're not going to know what's real history, what's false history. You're not going to know anymore just from the photographs. You're not going to know. We're inundated, absolutely inundated with fake AI shit. Okay. there was a longer Q&A where Paul talks about the making of the film. He said the director sat behind him during the production. He had a notepad for changes after the film. It was blank. Well, what's interesting about that is I'm very surprised in a positive way, because Paul McCartney, he usually doesn't want too much negativity in there about himself or embarrassing stuff. There's a lot of stuff, to its credit, to the director's credit, and now to Paul's credit, in Man on the Run, that is not that flattering to Paul. It's a little embarrassing stuff, some hardcore stuff, and he was fine with it. Apparently, he didn't veto any of it, and I salute Paul for that. Because you got to take the bad with the good. You got to take the edge along with the sweetness. What did Ringo contribute to What Goes On? I remember. I'm thinking of some kind of quote when somebody interviewed Ringo around the time and said, "What did you contribute to What Goes On?" And he said, I don't know how many words. He said, like, about 3 words to What Goes On. That's what I think I remember him saying, but I don't remember how many words it was. I'm just paraphrasing it. Sorry, I missed one. Louisiana having crawfish. Do you like seafood? Yeah, I like seafood, sure. Yeah. What do you think about Beatles for Sale? Beatles for Sale, I love all the Beatles albums. The Beatles never made a bad album, ever. And out of their regular studio catalog. I don't like really picking on Beatles for Sale, but if I was going to rank the Beatle albums, Beatles for Sale would be near the lowest of the best. You know what I mean? I still think Beatles for Sale is a fine album. Every Beatles album is a fine album. If Beatles for Sale, I always say this, if Beatles for Sale was, how can you say, the best album by any other group, it would be number one. You know what I mean? Any group would be delighted to have Beatles for Sale, even as their worst album, if I said it right. Okay, the weakest opening track from UK albums is It Won't Be Long. That's the craziest thing I ever heard. I know everybody has an opinion, and nobody's opinion is right or wrong. It Won't Be Long is a fantastic song. I think they were trying to write a single, I think John said, but that is one of the best Beatles songs, the most wonderful openings to any album. I can't agree with you, but I appreciate your odd minority, I think, opinion. What do you people think? Is he all wet, or do you agree with him? Beatles for Sale would be a better album with Leave My Kitten Alone instead of Mr. Moonlight. Mr. Moonlight is a weak cover song, but it doesn't bother me. I love hearing John's voice on it. He really belts it out, and I have no problem with it. I really don't. But would I rather have Leave My Kitten Alone? Yes, I'd rather have Leave My Kitten Alone, sure. Hello, Marcus. I'm confused, though, because in that same interview with Paul, didn't Paul say he was trying to get the director to endorse a more soft profile? I didn't see the interview. I don't remember seeing that interview. That's what I would have thought that Paul would try to do. But I'm glad, for whatever reason, I'm glad that it turned out, the film turned out the way that it did. And I do remember a short little clip I've seen somewhere with him on stage with the director saying, thank you for something like, thank you for putting all the embarrassing parts in that I didn't want in, or something like that. I don't know what that's all about. You could tell from the interview that seeing Linda and the family was very emotional for Paul. Well, yeah, I'd imagine it certainly would be. It would have to be. Yeah. Okay. Would love to know, not just McCartney, but any artist, how they are first approached to sing or write the new Bond theme. I thought Man on the Run might have told us. Well, that's one of the oversights. There's always things that are missing from a movie like that. Always things that one person might say should have been in there. Another person might say should not have been in there. I really thought they should have at least mentioned that at one point in Paul's post-Beatles career, he actually got to write a James Bond song. That should have been covered. Penny Lane. Hello, Penny Lane. I'm saying hi to you out there. And she says, I'm dreading the snow. You and me both. Oh, God. Ugh. Yeah, I talked all about that at the beginning. Uh, I really enjoy Beatles for Sale, so do I. Yellow Submarine is my least favorite Beatle album. It's my least too, but Yellow Submarine doesn't count really. I say because it's a soundtrack album. The side two is George Martin's music scores, not the Beatles songs. And side one repeats some songs we've had already. Side one has Yellow Submarine again. It has All You Need Is Love again. So it doesn't really count. But I mean, Yellow Submarine is definitely my least favorite album too. But I kind of put that on the side for those reasons I mentioned when I'm mentioning Beatles best albums, least albums. Funny, I was thinking the opposite. It Won't Be Long is one of their better opening tracks. Well, that's what I feel. That's what I feel. Any latest news from Giles Martin, or for that matter, any future deluxe box sets from Please Please Me to Rubber Soul? Thanks a lot. Great show. Thank you, Anthony. I haven't heard a thing. Sometimes, when we're doing this, those of us who do this, who have a YouTube channel or somehow know people who know people, or have a inside circle buzz, we can get things maybe a little ahead of the people. Not always. And I haven't heard anything. So I'll let you know if I do. Some of the things missing from the film might be in the director's cut. Exactly. As far as I'm now understanding it, I'm understanding that the Man on the Run film was originally a half an hour long. And even though a half hour is not very long in the grand scheme of things, for the sake of this, little things missing that we might have liked, it actually can be a lot. You know what I mean? So so yeah. And then I heard that there's 4 hours altogether, 4 hours that it could have been. It could have been 4 hours long even. So I don't know. Do you think Tom and Tim will have seen Man on the Run to include in your Monday movie chat? Yeah, they both said. Well, Tom and Tim, what I talked earlier about when you're kind of like in the inside a little bit, you do a channel and people. Tom and Tim already got to see Man on the Run before anybody else did. They didn't see it in the theater. I think they were sent a copy or something. I don't know, online maybe. I don't know for sure. But anyway, yeah, they've seen it. And I know that you said Tim. I'm all mixed up here. I'm sorry. Tom Hunyadi and Andy Nichols, I meant, got to see it. Let me stop here. I'm thinking of the Two Legs guys. Tom Hunyadi and Andy Nichols got sent a copy. Tim Allen has not seen it. I know Tim Allen hasn't seen it. Yellow Submarine is the weakest album. What is the second weakest? Well, to me, the second weakest would be either Let It Be or Beatles for Sale, for me, in my opinion. It's funny, like I find it so hard to say that Let It Be is like the second least album when you think it's got 3 number 1 hits on it. I mean, how many albums do you know by an artist come in at close to the lesser, on the lower favorites, the lesser best? How many of them do you know? There's a number 1 classic, Let It Be, on the song. There's another classic, Get Back, on there, right? The Long and Winding Road, that's 3. And if you want to say Across the Universe, even though it wasn't like a number 1 single or anything, Across the Universe is considered a Beatles classic. There's 4 classics on there alone, on one album that's supposed to be lesser tier Beatles. It's hilarious, really. When you guys were talking about My Love, I meant to pose the question of My Love. Somebody did. I did hear that. I missed it. I'm sorry. I think, was it you, Marcus? Somebody did say that. Somebody said, what do you think of My Love as opposed to Oh My Love? I love both songs. I guess if you, it's hard to say. I love both songs equally. I do. It's a cop-out answer, I know. If I had to pick one, that's a tough one. I might actually pick My Love by a hair if I had to pick one. Because John's song "Oh My Love" is perfection too. I don't know. It's hard to say. My Love is more like a hit, more like commercial classic. Oh My Love, not so much. I don't know. Both of them are great songs. It's really hard. Have you ever shared your choices for a single disc White Album? Yeah, I've done that. I'm one of those people who think that the comment that Paul made was one of the best comments anybody's ever made, and one of the best comments Paul ever made. Come on, the way it was, leave it alone. It was great. It's sold. It's the Bloody Beatles White Album. Shut up. I agree with that. And I hate when people say, take a lot of the other stuff off. Let's make it one concise album. If you want, I'm not saying you, but for people who say it should have been one album, I think George Martin wanted it to be one album. Maybe George said that. Some people said that. For those people that want that, the Beatles have plenty of other single albums that are all tight and concise and perfect like that. What makes the White Album what it is the fact that it's the one album that's all over the place and has so many different varieties on there and so many different styles on there. It's so all over the place. That's what makes it great, I think. And Paul McCartney also said that in that interview clip. He also said that I think that's one of the great things about it. There's so much different things on it. I agree with Paul. I don't agree with George Martin or the other Beatles on that. The 1999, there was the Yellow Submarine song track, which is highly recommended. I have yet to meet the fan that doesn't love that when they remixed the songs for Yellow Submarine on that. 1999. It's got it's the one that's got a blue background cover with a yellow submarine on it. I see that Peter Jackson has been involved in the new Elvis movie. I didn't know that. And, it really pains me that I'm not seeing the Elvis movie. I mean, there's a showing right now as I speak. And I was going to just put this off for this week, and I was going to go see it because I want to see the Elvis epic movie. I want to see it in a theater, but now is the time to see it in IMAX, which everybody who's seen it is raving about. And I really wish that I had seen it, but I'll see it in the theater. Are you and Are you and Danny going to have a Blizzard live stream? I don't know. Let's feel it out. By the way, it's a good time to mention. I don't know how I forgot to mention it, folks. I don't care. I know a lot of you are going to want to take the torches and the pitchforks and charge at me. Once again, I have gone back to my retirement channel, 3 channels. I did it again. I don't mind being roasted over it. I don't mind joking about it. I don't mind people let me have it. I'd like to know opinions there too. People watching this that are like fed up with it, or people that either applaud it or whatever. I've been back and forth a dozen times on this. Is this going to be the last final decision? It's easy for me to say yes. It's the final decision. I'm going to leave it as 3 channels. End of story. But I said that about 2 channels. And that channel, the one that's back, and I ask all of you to subscribe to, is this channel here, Mayo Loves Mondays, on the bottom. What's important about this the most is you can see what I write down there. It's also the channel that's going to have all the rant videos. Unless I'm ranting about something to do with music or ranting about something to do with the Beatles. Any other rant about life. That's what the channel is. It's about life. It's about trying to get, the best years out of what's left of your life. It's about retirement, but it's also out and about. It's got out and about videos. I'm trying to sell it here, but yeah. So I definitely went back to it. And importantly, the Danny lives, this is where the confusing part is. Gary's asking about it. The Danny show, Joe and Danny show, is going to be over there. It's going to be over there. And we're doing it on Wednesday mornings, over at the other one. So if you like rant videos, please go there and subscribe. If you like the Danny show, go over there because that's where it's going to be. Okay? Yeah, I know. Sucks. Back and forth. I have my reasons. I'm doing research. I'm trying things out. I'm tweaking things here. And now for different reasons, I thought I don't know if the channel you're watching now, Mean Mr. Mayo, okay, my main channel, my biggest channel, most successful channel. I want to draw in younger people too. I think if I had a lot of retirement content on this channel, younger people aren't going to be interested in that. So if you're interested in retirement, again, I say retirement, that puts people off too. It's not just retirement. Retirement, living life, trying to get what you eat better, trying to get healthier, exercise, life, ranting about life, things that annoy us out there. We all have things in the world that we're pissed about, things that, irk all of us. You can all unleash over there. I spent a lot of time on this, but it was important. It was important. Yeah, Let It Be isn't my favorite album. I love Across the Universe, One After 909. I've Got a Feeling. I love the whole album. Hello, Ramoga. Hello, welcome to the show. The White Album is my second favorite Beatles album because of its sprawling chaos. I don't think much of 4 or 5 seconds at all as a track. I mean, I've heard it, of course. I don't like it. Thanks a lot, Joe. The White Album really shows how the Beatles in the late years really rock, just like the Beatles really rock earlier with the Beatles. That's what I think, too. John might have been more friendly to George and asked him to play during Imagine sessions because George was such a success with All Things Must Pass. Just read, hello, 4D man. Just read Elvis Presley equals first choice casting Rio Bravo. Tom Parker wanted too much money, so they got Ricky Nelson. We nearly got John Wayne, Dean Martin, and Elvis. Like I said, people laugh at the idea of Elvis in the movies, but man, he was pretty good in Love Me Tender. He was great in Flaming Star. I mean, he did okay when he wanted to. And I have the 30 LP radio show, The Days of Their Lives, and the sound quality of the music is fantastic. What is The Days of Their Lives? Hey, Elliot, I know. I gave you a hard time yesterday. God bless you, Elliot. Because I know yesterday Elliot said, "Hey, Joe, it's Elliot." And I said, "Well, you got to tell us that all the time that it's you." I'm sorry. One of the reasons why I did that was because the other guys were there too, and I know they feel similar. But yeah, right. This is true. Joe will close and reopen channels hundreds of times before we get a Rubber Soul box set. But right now, I know. Right now, I'm really loving this channel, my main channel, me, Mr. Mayo. I'm loving it, being Beatles and music oriented, a little tighter like that. Somebody made a comment. I always forget who said these things. Said, Joe, it's really sad for me to see you dilute your channel like this. And I thought about that word dilute. Am I really diluting this channel by having, Beatles stuff, other music stuff on here, records collecting, CD collecting, and then I put on retirement. I put on a lot of rants about other things out there in the world that are a pain in the ass. Is that really? You just keep putting other stuff on it, diluting. That was interesting. Any McCartney song you enjoyed and thought, "Ooh, that sounds like the Paul of Old Wings Beatles era"? Well, the first one that popped into mind was the song Dominoes. The song Dominoes off Egypt Station sounds like Wings era a little bit to me, I thought. That's the first song that popped to mind. There probably are others. Okay, 5 years to the day between the release of With the Beatles and White Album. Interesting. Yeah, that is interesting. It's the day of the Kennedy assassination, I believe, too, with the Beatles. By the way, this is a bad segue, but my friend Anthony loves JFK. It's his birthday today, so let's everybody wish my friend Anthony a very happy birthday today. And what's really significant about it is my friend Anthony is 60 years old today, the big 60. Okay. Have to admit that when you move videos back and forth, I don't watch any of your videos, including the new ones, just the live shows. One thing I will say, Mick64, is I hope you'll watch them. But what I'm saying is, don't watch the same ones you've seen already. I get that. Every time I take videos and I put them on one channel, and then I change my mind, I move them to the other channel. Then I change my mind, I move them back to the first channel. Then I change my mind, move back to the second channel. Then I change my mind. Every time I move videos back and forth, I lose a lot of viewers, obviously. because you've seen them 3 or 4 times already. I don't expect people to watch the same videos over and over and over. And Mix 64, I hope that's what you're saying. I hope that's what you're referring to. You're just referring that you don't want to see the same videos over and over when you move them. I get that. I get it. 199 to 200%. That's okay. The reason I move them anyway is because I want to have them where I want them. Or whatever I settle on, and right now it's the 3rd retirement channel. I want those videos to have a home there. So that's why. Okay. Hello. Greetings from Pasadena. Any more Record Store Reality or even you out and about videos coming? They've quickly become a favorite. Yeah, well, in fact, I was at the record store today, and I actually took a little bit of footage there, very little bit of footage. I said this before. The problem is I don't go to my record store as much as I always used to. And when I do go there, it's a whole other dynamic. It's not what it was years ago. Don doesn't come to, you don't see Don very often in the store anymore. And when you do see Don, you can't really understand him. His voice is hard. He's not really full of energy like he once was. It's the end. It's the end. It's coming to the end. It's the Beatles breakup. I mean, it's really like the end. But I do what I can do. I get footage when I can get it. And any time that I get enough stuff that I can make another Record Store Reality video, I will put it up for you. As far as out and about, I try to do out and about. It's usually out and about is me and Anthony going to stores. I just had one up with me and Mikey, Arugula, and Anthony. 3 of us going out. Hello. Yes, hello, Johnny. I'm glad you think I'm kind, because I am. Despite the name Mean Mr. Mayo, but in all fairness, I could be mean too and have my bad days too. So I'm a human being, for God's sake. How you doing, Johnny? You know what I'm trying to say? Should Dig It have been left off Let It Be, or should it have been longer? Good question. I wish it was a little longer. But the idea of Let It Be, it's also like a soundtrack album. The idea was the Let It Be album was what they were doing in the film, really, right? Wasn't it? More or less, I think, as Phil Spector finally presented it. Little snippets from the film, you know. Do you have the original yellow vinyl, Yellow Submarine song track? Yes, I have that. Yes, I do. Although I'm cutting drastically back on colored vinyl, I still buy a few things here and there. Which Beatles solo album has the most dated production? That requires to think about it. You know, I can't. Wow, I'm just. Maybe sometime in New York City. I don't know. It's the first album that popped in my head. I really don't know. Good afternoon, Robbie. There you go. There's a happy birthday for Anthony. Okay. See, I appreciate this, Johnny. Johnny says, I don't think you're diluting anything. The more topics, the better. I appreciate that. I would love anybody's input here, all the honesty. You know, I took a poll, and out of 183, I think it was 183 voters, 71% said they like everything together on one channel. I decided, after all of that, it works better for me with the 3 channels, although having 3 channels for me is more work. But I like having things more uniform. So please, Johnny, I hope you're subscribed to the 3 channels. Everybody here, as I say, you really don't know what I'm going to put on them. You really don't know what content is going to be on which. You know what I mean? So there you go. Have you ever not had a mustache? Not if I can help it. But I grew a mustache in 1980, just a mustache. You know, don't forget, I got a beard too, but it's white. You don't always see goatee. But I grew facial hair in 1980 when I was 18. I like the way I look better, much better with at least a mustache, at least something here. And I think 2 or 3 times in the past 46 years or so, I've shaved completely, like maybe two times or 3 times, and promptly grew it right back in a week. So there's your answer to that. Are you going to put together that Frankenstein model kit? I guess you didn't watch the video because I did a video, check it out, on my Mr. Cinemayo channel, which is also about not just movies and television, but also stuff like this. This is a model. This is just a box. Just the box. There's no model kit in here. Yeah, I was talking about that. You can smell it too. And this is a repro, by the way. These things are very expensive. This repro is not expensive. So I had to go for a repro because all the reasons are in the video. Watch the video over at Mr. Cinemayo. There's a plug for you. I think Paul's new album will probably be 2 LPs. Yeah, they were talking about that. Paul has a lot of songs, but I think that's a mistake. This is just my opinion. I don't think 2 LPs do as well as a single LP. Just kind of like what the record company did to Paul in 1973 when Paul wanted a double version of Red Rose Speedway, and they said they wanted him to make it a single album. He insisted on a single album. I think it's better all around for one disc. This is my opinion. And then later on, you could use all the remaining tracks for a second album. That's what I would do. But that's just me. Okay, so now we find out Let It Be wasn't a dream at all. Mal Evans came up with the quote, Let It Be. We even hear McCartney sing Brother Malcolm Comes to Me. This is true. This is true. Originally, the line in the song was Mother Malcolm Comes to Me. Originally, and Paul changed it to Mother Mary for his mother. Yeah, and he said his mother came to him in a dream, so who the hell knows? Happy 60th birthday to Anthony. Caleb, hello. Good to see you here. So good to see people that haven't been here in a while, or people who never been here before. I always love the newcomers, and I love more than anything my old faithful supporters that are always here. So I love everybody. I love you all, man and women. So anyway, Mike, Tats, and Greg are the best in those videos. Hilarious guys. Maybe even interviewing them as a music thing. Well, Greg, if I'm thinking who you mean, was never in these very often. He's been in there a few times, but. Happy birthday, Anthony. When I was in my teens, a friend of mine had a brother called Anthony, not Anthony. When are you going to incorporate your other half in some of the videos? Probably never. You know what I mean? First of all, she's not interested. She's shy about it. And I don't want her in them either. It's just my thing. You could hear her voice in some of them. Do you have decoded demos on bootlegs or other sets? Yes, I do. That's a good thing not to see Don in the record store. You're like one of the few people who feel that way. Don has always been a fan favorite, but now if I see him, he's like outside somewhere, or he's down at the local candy shop, whatever you call it, the gas station, really, the gas station. Okay, another Anthony. I don't even know if Anthony's watching this. Are you going to show up to make it to Mikey's birthday bash tonight at Mr. Stickomania? Hey, guess what, folks? Here's a new. Thank you very much. Because although Anthony's birthday's today, Mikey Arugula's birthday's tomorrow. And over at Mr. Stickomania tonight, he's going to be having a bash for Mikey. And I was invited. And yes, I intend to make an appearance. That is, if I can remember. And I believe it's 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. So there you go. I didn't even remember to mention it. So thank you for doing it. Kenny, hello to you. Hello again. I admit it, when I first heard Dear Boy, I thought it was about John. Well, yeah. And when John heard it, he thought it was about him too. And you can't blame John for that. See, that's what gets me about people in general, like Paul McCartney, Dear Boy, it turned out, was revealed that it was actually about Linda's ex-husband. Okay. Now, the thing is, John thought it was about him, and why shouldn't he? When people like Paul don't want to be direct and they want to be sneaky about it, you don't know what to think. Is Too Many People about me? Is Dear Boy about me? Is Hey Jude about me? That's the way it is. So, is the backseat of my car about me? All these things John was thinking. Now, they call him paranoid, but what are you supposed to think when the guy doesn't tell you straight out, or he doesn't make it as obvious as How Do You Sleep? John made so obviously about Paul. But anyway, great song, Dear Boy. Great album, Ram. Let's see. Yellow Submarine song track should replace the standard Yellow Submarine album. I don't want to take anything away from George Martin's great score for Yellow Submarine, but I like that idea. Okay. If George played one more Beatles song at the concert for Bangladesh, what would you want it to be? I'd have to give that some thought, too. I'm sorry. I hate when I can't come up with an answer off the cuff on the spot. And if you do, a lot of times the answer will just be the first thing that pops in your head, not a real... I'm trying to think what's realistic for him to do. Trying to think of All Things Must Pass. How about All Things Must Pass, the title track? What for you is the best scene in A Hard Day's Night and the best scene in Help? That's an interesting question. I love the whole movie of A Hard Day's Night. I love the whole movie of Help. It's hard to pick one scene. These days, when I watch A Hard Day's Night, these days, my favorite scene is the Ringo stuff when he goes out on his own and wanders around. That's actually, these days, my favorite Hard Day's Night scene. And the best scene in Help? Gee, that's a tougher one. Wow. Help has so many just little pieces of nonsense and craziness in it. It's really hard to pick one scene in there. And I'm not talking about songs here. If you want to talk about like what's your favorite song performance moment? I'm not talking about this is aside from the individual songs. I guess when they're breaking into the house and the Beatles are defending themselves and Victor Spinetti and Roy Kinnear bust in the house and they're trying to get Ringo and they're fighting. The Beatles are, and then George accidentally strangles John. John's going, it's me, and stuff like that. The comedy, and Ringo's doing his martial arts moves. I think that right now that may be my favorite scene. Do you think Man on the Run movie is more about Paul than Wings? Yeah, it's more about Paul. But Wings was such a big part of his life in the 70s that it has to be about both. But yeah, I think it's about Paul and Wings, but it's mostly about Paul the man and what he was going through after the Beatles broke up. So there you go. Is Anthony doing anything special for his 60th big expensive meal? Yeah, I heard he was going to White Castle. Taking the wife. No, I'm kidding. I really don't know. I don't know. In my long lifetime, I've had a mustache, goatee, and full beard. I had a full beard once or twice. I currently look like Paul due to laziness. Yeah, look at me. I mean, I didn't even bother. I don't look my best today. I didn't shave or anything. I think you mean the 60s, right? 60s. It's a very, very good channel. Very good channel. All you need is love. What was that about? I'm lost. Did you notice in the new Man on the Run documentary that Paul really recognizes his stage worn costumes? Really does? Do you notice in the new Man on the Run documentary, Paul really recognizes stage worn costumes? Yeah, I think he recognized them, but sometimes Paul's going to be 84. Paul's going to be 84 in a few months. And it's starting to show a little bit. That is not a criticism. This is why I hesitate. It's not a criticism at all, just an observation. The man's still out there doing it. He's going to tour again. He's supposed to play Japan, I hear, in 2026 is what I'm hearing. And wherever else, not sure. But God bless him. And he's going to have another album out. But when you watch 2 hours of Paul from 1970 to 1980, and then you see a present 2026 or 2025, 2026 clip of Paul now, obviously it hits you like a ton of bricks. The man has aged. That's not a criticism. I'm glad to have him. I'm glad that he still has all his marbles and all his talent that can write songs, perform. However, it really was like was a hard slap in the face. But I was just happy to see Paul there. But Paul himself said to the director, Morgan Neville, I hate the toilet flushing. I don't know if you do. I love this apartment. Not anyway. Yeah. He said to Morgan Neville that he didn't want to appear in the documentary the way he looks now because he didn't want to have an old guy, in between all the young clips. He just wanted the director to use his voice, which is what he did. But anyway, I just thought I'm saying this because I just thought that he didn't seem as swift exactly in that clip that I saw after the movie. Okay, always been clean shaven for 27 years working for UPS. They only allowed a mustache above the lip, no beards. They've changed the rules since I retired. Some people look good without any facial hair. Some people look better with it. Oh, so Mayo, Richard James says. Has the vinyl itch scratched you lately? Not in the least. Not in the least. I was in the record store today. Just as past time, I went through some vinyl. Looked very nice. No way. And again, that does not mean that I am not going to ever buy a vinyl record again. I most certainly will. I certainly will. But the early days of my channel, if you go back and look at my earliest videos, and I implore you to do that, they have a simple function down there where you can put video, you can press videos, and then it says oldest, newest, whatever. Press oldest, flip back to 14 years ago, and you will see my earliest videos of me buying every damn album by any damn artist just to have another album. That's done. Who is your all-time favorite actor and actress? Every film they've been in, you've seen, etc. Well, I haven't seen every film by either one of them. My favorite actress is probably Meryl Streep. I think she's just a great actress. I have not seen every one of her movies, though. Favorite actor is Charlton Heston, and Charlton Heston I like not so much his acting per se. I like his persona. I grew up with Charlton Heston as the hero of Planet of the Apes and Beneath the Planet of the Apes. I grew up with Charlton Heston as Moses in the Ten Commandments and Judah Ben-Hur in the movie Ben-Hur. I grew up with him. I went to the theater at 9 years old to see him with the Omega Man fighting off a horde of zombie dwellers. I saw him at Airport 75 flying a jet plane that was in peril. It's in Soylent Green, of course. Saw him in the theater in Soylent Green trying to save the earth. He's my guy. You know what I mean? Not because he's technically the greatest actor of all time, but because of all that he's done and his power and persona. And I'm very privileged to have met Charlton Heston 3 times in my life, gotten his autograph and a photo. Should George have taken a writing credit on Octopus's Garden and It Don't Come Easy? I suppose yes. My guess is that he wanted Ringo to have solo credit. That's just my guess. George was being modest, I think, but I think technically he should have. Why do you think Paul and George never wrote some tunes together after they patched things up? I don't know what was up with that. I don't know. I don't know. They never did. It's funny because there was interviews where, Paul said, it suddenly occurred to me, George and I have never written together. And then it's funny, George sarcastically said something like, well, it's nice of him to ask. I've been sitting here for 30 years or whatever it was. Hello, Mark. Hello. I don't know what this question is, Richard. Hard date night? You mean a hard day's night or literally a date night or hero movie? I don't know what we're talking about. Let's see. Yes, John noted how similar the start of Instant Karma was to the single Some Other Guy. Once it's pointed out, you can't unhear it. Well, John often did that. He went to WNEW studios in New York, brought along a collection of his favorite 45s, and very, very graciously told everybody played where he got things from, where he got the I don't know if it's Hook, Lick, I don't know. For I Feel Fine, where he got Day Tripper, where he got the start of Instant Karma. You know, John really swiped a lot of things. He did. He did. I think personally, they're both great songs. She Loves You and I Want to Hold Your Hand are great songs. You can't take anything away from I Want to Hold Your Hand, because I Want to Hold Your Hand is the song that really took off in America for the Beatles, you know, made them huge, and you know. But She Loves You, I always thought was the better song, and that's She Loves You is my favorite Beatles song if I can only have one, because it's so exciting, pop rock, fun, energetic, infectious. Every time I always say how I get tired of hearing certain Beatles songs now and then. Anytime She Loves You pops on a radio, if I happen to be listening to a radio station, an oldie station, and you hear the opening drum roll, I go, well, I'm in heaven. I'm in heaven for that 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever it is. If John hadn't retired between the years 76 to 79, we could have had just a little music from John. But I respect John's reason. Yeah. No, he wanted to take it easy and take care of his son and spend time with him. You know, he learned from his mistakes. He wanted to be different this time. I think what made Wings albums different was it wasn't always Paul singing the lead, and that made the albums interesting. Yeah, I could do without them. I'll be honest with you. I appreciate that Paul wanted Wings to be a group effort, a band with everybody. Everybody gets to be a part of it. Good for him. But I don't need to hear all the other guys singing and Linda singing. However, I do like a lot of the songs. I love Medicine Jar. You know, Medicine Jar. I love Time to Hide. I love Denny Lane doing Again and Again and Again. I mean, there are songs that the other guys sing that I do like. Due to being sick in the last snowstorm, I haven't been to a record store in over a month. Withdrawal is hard. Yeah, I get you. At 69, which I am, I find it a struggle. You're at 69, which I am. I find it a struggle to do chores around the house. So Paul at 86, 80, he's going to be 84. He's 83 right now. He's going to be 84 in June. But yeah, it's an amazing accomplishment. It is. Paul is in amazing shape. And Ringo too. Ringo and Paul, for their ages, are in amazing shape. I actually find watching George helping Ringo with Octopus's Garden is quite touching. I agree. They have fun together working it out. I love that's my. You want to ask me what my favorite moments from Let It Be are? That's one of my favorite moments. Octopus's Garden with George helping Ringo. Heston had 2 film careers, seems to me. After the epics and westerns, the sci-fi resurgence, starting with The Apes. Big surprise. I also like the 1969 football movie Number One. It's funny because I never seen Number One, but I did just get it on Blu-ray not too long ago, and I caught some of it. I also have a movie called Counterpoint. There were Charlton Heston movies I've never seen. Only recently did I finally get to see Secret of the Incas, which I didn't think much of it, actually. One of the people who watches my movie channel, watch it, folks, Mr. Cinemayo, subscribe right now if you're not already. He wanted me to see, finally buckle down and see Secret of the Incas. He said it was very much like the inspiration for Indiana Jones. So I saw it, and I could see the resemblance to Indiana Jones, but it wasn't a very good movie, in my opinion. Okay, hello, Spring Hill Jim. Do you like Carole King? Yes, I do. She had a great voice, but seemed to focus more on songwriting for other people. Well, I mean, I don't think that much of her as a singer, but I do like Tapestry. You know, Tapestry is a great classic album, and I think, I mean, as a child, when I was 9 years old, I bought the single "It's Too Late." Now, at 9 years old, you're not interested in songs about a relationship and going sour and having to break up and fall apart. But who knew that? It was just catchy. It's too late, baby. Now it's too late. I bought that. I loved that song when I was 9 years old. And my favorite Carole King song, I Feel the Earth Move. But what I respect about Carole King the most is that she's a fantastic genius writer. You know, Uh, Carole King and Jerry Goffin, excuse me, were writing songs before the Beatles ever did, and they actually inspired John and Paul. And John and Paul wanted to be. They always said we wanted to be the next Goffin and King. So it's amazing the songs that Carole King wrote, and a lot of people might not know the songs that Carole King wrote. Look it up, do some research. You'll be surprised. Oh my God, I didn't know that. I mean, did you know that she wrote the Monkey song Pleasant Valley Sunday, which I love? And there's a version on YouTube of Carole King doing the demo or slower version of Pleasant Valley Sunday. Anyway, what was your last week in work like before retiring, and what was your first week like being retired? Well, first of all, my girlfriend had gotten cancer right around the time I was going to retire. She was in the hospital for cancer, and she was going to have surgery. So I had to work my last week with this going on, So it was really not an easy last week, but everything. This was 4 years ago, and everything is good right now. Anyway. And as far as my first week being retired, this is a good time for us to say, please go over to my retirement channel, which is called Mayo Loves Mondays. Go over to Mayo Loves Mondays, and there's going to be a lot of retirement stuff coming up. But anyway, it wasn't really the funniest thing about retirement is I would rather sit here at the computer and sleep at the computer, or look at the ceiling and count the cracks in the ceiling rather than work. I'd rather be bored than work. But having said that, retirement is not the paradise that I thought it was. It's great. It's always better to me, in my view, not to be working than to work, because it gives me time to do everything I like here and this. But anyway, yeah, it was the very first day I was retired, the very first morning, 7:00 in the morning, my first day retired. The first day I got into a minor fender bender. So anyway, hi, Eric. I always thought She Loves You has one of the very greatest endings of any song. It's a great ending. Absolutely. I'm sorry. Will there be a Mr. Cinemayo show this Monday? I'm planning on it. For those who don't know, over at my other channel, which I'll flash on here again, please subscribe if you haven't down there. I do a movie show like this, but with guests. I have guests on there. I have Tim Allen. I have Tom Hunyadi when Tom's able to make it, which is half the time. And last show, we were joined by 4D Man, who was very good on the show. And we may have other guests in the future, but we talk about movies, TV shows, stuff like that. So please check out that channel. Thank you very much. I couldn't care less about the music of Nick Drake. I thought it was hilarious when he thought he was better than the Beatles, or he beat the Beatles and all this. Everybody comes, they beat a Beatle record. They beat a Beatle record. It's a joke. Okay, he tattooed the Abbey Road. He tattooed, I don't know, the Beatles crossing Abbey Road on his forearm or something, and had him standing there with his hand up like stopping them or some nonsense like that. I made a hilarious video knocking that, what I thought of that. So go watch that if you can dig it up. At the time I did that, I met Paul at 83. Sometimes my fingers don't cooperate. I understand that. Okay. I gotta go back up here. Hold on a minute. I don't have a sound system worth talking about. I have a Technics turntable, an old Technics turntable from like 1979 or 80 or something like something like that. It's used. I also have a Audio-Technica new turntable that's modeled after the 1200. It's modeled after the Technics 1200 Audio-Technica. So I got a couple of turntables, and I don't even know what my speakers are. They're little they're desk speakers. They're not very big, and they're on my desk here. And I have a Technics receiver that's not that great. It's funny because I bought a used, I think it was Onkyo. I think it was Onkyo receiver. I bought it like 4 years ago or something. It's still in the other room. I never hooked it up because I don't play vinyl in here. I can't play vinyl in here because it's an apartment and we just don't do it. Um, Interesting that Paul didn't remember Give Me Some Truth from the Let It Be Get Back session until Peter Jackson showed him the film of it. Yeah, I could see that happening. Wingspan was more about wings, but Man on the Run is Paul's story. I would agree with that. Day Tripper, We Can Work It Out. Another impossible question. They're both great. They're both great. Wow. I just hate when people say that. Oh, I can't pick. I can't choose. I won't dare choose. They're equal. First of all, they're equal to me. I love them both the same. But for some reason, these days, I have more of an affection for We Can Work It Out by a small, teeny weeny bug hair. Someone asked here what was the best guitar solo in a Beatles song. But no one mentioned Hey Bulldog. It's a fantastic solo. How about While My Guitar Gently Weeps by Eric Clapton? Oh, there we go again. No, I love there's a lot of guitar solos, man, but why don't I like the guitar solo with Let It Be, the album version. The Beatles, yes, right, exactly, Jim. The Beatles even covered the song Chains that the Cookies originally did, was written by Goffin and King on the very first Beatles album. That's right. Danny will be happy to know that Barry Manilow is doing well on the treadmill 3 times a day. Glad to hear it. I only just realized Goffin and King wrote 2 of Billy Fury's most popular songs, Halfway to Paradise, and I'd Never Find Another You, which was originally recorded by Tony Orlando. Going on 12 years retired, and it's paradise for me. I never get bored. I don't really get bored, but the thing is, I get lazy in the sense that I've said this before many times. Like today, like I went to the record store today and hung out with the guys, but I have time here to watch movies. I have time here to listen to more music. Instead, I often just sit around when I'm home. And it's funny, it's not that I'm bored. I got lots of things to do, but it's like I just rather just like bum around. And I'm trying to like get out of that and put it to better use. The things I do when the weather's decent or when we don't have snow and all that. I walk. I go out and I walk. I go to the mall, shopping mall, and I walk in the mall. So I get exercise, keep the juices flowing, keep the cardio going. And I'm always making videos, watching videos, and tweaking and playing with my channels. So I have fun, but yet I should be doing a lot more is what I'm trying to say. So, let's see. I knew somebody would ask to see the Godzilla clip. Oh boy, the Godzilla clip for Ramoga. Ramoga needs the Godzilla clip. He needs it. Okay, I'll play it. I'm trying to cut down on it, but and I know there's at least one person in here that hates that clip. So there you go. All right. Does or did everyone in the U.S. know who everyone was on the Band on the Run cover when it came out? I didn't know who everybody is on the cover, and I still don't know who everybody is unless I look it up. I mean, of course, I know James Coburn, I know Christopher Lee, and I have to check some of the others. Do you like the German version of She Loves You, Sie liebt dich? Well, not especially. I mean, it's fun. It's interesting as a curiosity, something to listen to on the side. It's fun, but I don't love it. A lot of people don't realize I'm Into Something Good was originally sung by Earl Jean from the Cookies and was written by Goffin and King. I didn't even realize that. The Herman's Hermit song. I love that. I didn't even realize that one. See? Thanks, Jim. I didn't even know that. Carole King wrote Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow by the Shirelles. Aretha Franklin, Little Eva, the Drifters, etc. Yep. Which was the best era of Genesis, Gabriel or Collins? I like Phil Collins. I don't know enough about them. Sadly, that's interesting. The Audio Technica LP 120 went up close to $500. That's really pushing it. I think I lucked out because mine's still in great working condition. Well, then again, a turntable's kept in great working condition if you just let them linger and wither away, and you don't use them. I've heard from the guys at my record store, you have to use you have to use it and keep the parts and belts, whatever it has, in use. Yeah, the Day Tripper guitar riff was a good one, but as we were saying earlier, John borrowed that from somewhere else, as usual. But it's a good one. Let's see. I've heard a rumor that Abbey Road is going to have sides flipped with the medley on side 1. I forget if I've heard that or not. I don't know. Oh, yes, I agree with you. George's guitar solo on Something Perfect solo. I agree with you. Yep. Okay, check out a compilation called The Legendary Demos that feature Carole King's original recording of Pleasant Valley Sunday. Yes, I remember seeing that record. It was a record in my record store of it. Yeah, I saw that, and I was thinking of buying it. I did hold it in my hands and look at it. Yes. She sings a really good version of Take Good Care of My Baby, the Bobby V song, right? Yeah. Okay, that's a Godzilla. Yes. Gary says I couldn't get anyone to see Epic in IMAX last night. Losers. Well, that's one of the reasons why I didn't go to see it today. Was I didn't really know anybody that wanted to see it, and my girlfriend's away. I would have went with her. Is Venus and Mars the second best Wings album? Oh, a lot of people think it's the best Wings album. I think so. Look, I got to give it to Band on the Run as number 1. I have to, because I always loved the Band on the Run album. Although there were a couple of songs I don't like on. I don't like No Words. I don't like Picasso's Last Words. But there's so much greatness on Band on the Run, and it was Paul really coming into his own really big at the time, that it's definitely the best Wings album. It's got to be, but to me, Venus and Mars is right there. So yeah, I would put Venus and Mars second. Do you find reading a new book is harder to read than to listen to a new album? And do you dread when a new Beatle book comes out that's the size of a house brick that you have to review it? I don't usually do a lot of reading now. It's just a matter of getting older. I've gotten older. I've read stuff. I have read stuff. But there was a time when I didn't need these glasses. And it just happens to you. You get older and the words are smaller, and even with the glasses, and it's a little bit of a strain on the eyes, So I don't love reading too much. And with Beatle books in general, I'm going to be getting rid of a lot of these Beatle books. There's a lot of Beatle books here. A lot of my stuff is going away. A lot of Beatle magazines, a lot of Beatle books. I don't want to let anybody watch it and say, "Oh my God, it's the end of the world." Joe Mayo is getting rid of stuff. I have to do it. I love that topic. And that's also the type of topic that you're going to be able to hear on my show called Collectors Anonymous. I don't know if a lot of you watched it. I have a show. You can look it up. I did it last month, called Collectors Anonymous, like Alcoholics Anonymous. It's about people that collect and have the addiction and what to do with collecting and different levels of it, what they have, what they want to keep getting, what they want to give up. And I'm doing another one of those. I'm going to try to do one a month. I have another show coming up. We're going to do it live, and it's getting fast. It's 4 days away. It's the 25th, which happens to be George Harrison's birthday, but on February 25th at 5 p.m. Eastern. So I'll be doing it right at this time on 4 days from now. Wait for the ad to come up. Be here on the 25th. I'll have at least one guest here. Maybe we'll have other people come up. I'll throw a link out there, and we're going to talk about collecting. But there's a lot of these things that I'm just finding, and also this will also be on other channels too, talking about getting older and time management and how much time we got. I just don't want to bring in as much stuff as I used to. Having said that, you'll always see me bring in some stuff. You just won't see as much as I did in the early days if you watch my early videos, because you just don't have the time left. You don't. I know it's the same old song and dance. You've heard this a million times. It's not to be morbid. It's not to be negative. It's not to be depressing, but it's a reality. I'm going to be 64 years old in a couple of months. You know what I mean? And, even if I make it to 84, 85, it's only 20 years. I don't want to have a slew of stuff that I'm not going to bother with, including the stuff I already have that I'm not bothering with the last 20 years. You know what I mean? That's the stuff we talk about. Elvis performs How Great Thou Art in Elvis Presley in concert. And when I turned around, the guy next to me was blubbing like a baby. Yeah. Deadlines motivate. Open-ended days make us put off tasks. And so retirement days, that's a good point, give us the go-by. Very well said, 4D man. Many unfinished projects on this computer. I wrote more than I had to fit in between lecturing. Well, that's what happens. Yeah, you have open-ended days. You have lots of time, you think. And let me tell you, anybody who's retired knows time goes by fastest when you're retired. All you people out there who are older, who, you think we all know time goes quickly as you age. It seems to go quickly, right? It feels that way because you're older. However, when you retire, you're going to find out that a week goes by like a day. A month goes by like a week. A year goes by like a month. The next thing you know, you're going to be 70 and 80, if you're lucky, I enjoy Venus and Mars, but I do prefer Wings Over America versions to every song from that album. I can't share that with you, Julio. I've never been one of those people, personally, who finds the live versions better than the studio versions. I love the studio version. I love all of the studio versions, everything in the studio, better than anything on Wings Over America. Believe it or not. That's just how I feel. I love all the stuff people usually say. Letting Go. People say they like the live Letting Go. I love the live Letting Go, but Maybe I'm Amazed is really, it's the live version of Maybe I'm Amazed is fantastic, but I still prefer the studio by a little bit. Yeah, equipment should be used. If not, belts dry out and crack. Yeah, that's the other thing. That's what I'm saying. What is your favorite two songs from Walls and Bridges? Off the top of my head, Steel and Glass is my favorite song off Walls and Bridges. And I'm just thinking of it to get it right. I love that album. Things change, but it's always Steel and Glass. That's number one. And I don't want to be boring and say Number 9 Dream, because Number 9 Dream is a classic. But I guess that's my two favorites off it. Okay, this turntable you love. Why do you need someone to go with to see a film? I don't. I don't know what it is. I've gone many, many, many times in my life to see a film by myself. Hundreds, if not thousands of times. I mean, in fact, most of the time that I've seen a film has been by myself. But for some reason, with this particular movie, Elvis Presley in concert, I just feel like I like to go with somebody because it's an epic, it's an event. I don't know. In fact, a lot of times I prefer going by myself to certain films. What do you think about actresses like Megan Fox? I heard the name. I can't picture her at all. Jessica Alba, she's a hot babe. Sorry, that's how I feel. I'm a guy, but I don't remember Jessica Alba in too much, except maybe one of the Fantastic Four movies. And Lindsay Lohan, I don't really know them as actresses, just as sex symbols. Do you listen to the Live in Toronto 1969 album? Practically never. I think John is kind of nervous. I don't think he performs very well in it. But the thing about it is, this is how I am with a lot of concerts. For me, if I'm going to listen to a concert, I'd rather watch the film. I'd rather watch Concert for Bangladesh. I never play that album. I'd rather watch Toronto. I never play the album. I'd rather watch Concert for George. I don't really play the album, although I have played the album. Concert for George works well as audio. Same thing with Rock Show, or Wings Over America Rock Show, whatever. I'd rather watch Rock Show. I'd rather watch the concert than hear the record of the live concert. There's exceptions. There were exceptions, I suppose, but for the most part, I keep a log of what I read, and I read 41. I read 41 books in 2025. We also spent a month traveling. Again, retirement is great. I think that's fantastic. What surprises me though, Mick, is that I don't say retirement's great. Oh, I'm loving retirement. It's so great. As I said earlier, I still would rather be retired any day of the week. You couldn't pay me enough to go to work over being retired. But yet it's not this wonderful freaking Disney World. I don't know. What film character do you love and would like to be like? How about James Bond? Okay, that's the first one that pops to my mind, I guess. There you go. There's a book, The Road. I haven't seen Dr. Cyclops in a long time. I don't remember being thrilled with it. It's a good movie about a doctor that shrinks people down to small size, and there's a lot of movies like that. I wonder if Dr. Cyclops was one of the first ones. It was Devil Doll. It was okay. I haven't seen it in a long time. Which live Paul and Wings songs are better than the studio versions? For me, I can't think of any offhand, but I will say that I like when Paul does the song Sing the Changes live. It's this concerts. It's off Electric Arguments. I think I like the live version of Sing the Changes better than maybe the record. Maybe. Can't you make videos of you selling your stuff? I've thought of that. I think I have done a few where I say this is the stuff I flip through some things I'm going to sell. I could do a little more of that, but I don't want people to get too depressed. Is what I'm worried about. The upcoming Sam Mendes films. Will you see them the first minute they're released? No, I think I'll wait till the third minute. No, seriously, I am interested in seeing them. I am, but I'm not. Overall, I don't care for them. I don't care if they never do the Sam Mendes films, but because they're doing them, I am interested in seeing how they turn out. And I have a channel to run, a Beatles channel, and people want to know my opinion. So I want to be able to get here to tell you what I thought of the movie as soon as I can. So I can wait. 2028, I'm in no rush. Yeah. Yep. Well, that's the thing. That there are three reasons when it comes to collecting that I'm toning down. First reason is because I just don't have as much money as I used to have to spend on things. Number two is I just don't have the space in the room that I used to have. But even though I mentioned those two things, they're nowhere near as important as the third reason, and that's there's just not the time. It's scary. Nobody knows how long they're going to be here. You hope you're going to be here long, or even if you live to be 90, which I always say I would like to live long enough to blow the candles out of my 90th birthday cake. Now the question is, will I have all my marbles? Will I be aware and self-sufficient, or will somebody have to help me stand up and wobbling? I don't want to live that long if I'm going to be a mess. So how many good years do you have? This is the kind of stuff we'll discuss at the Retirement Channel. So please go over to the Retirement Channel right now. Once again, I'm going to put the banner up here for you. I know there's always new people watching here, lurking around. This is where I talk about lifestyle, rant videos, things that piss me off in the world, retirement, time, managing your time, trying to eat better, which I have to get that rolling again right now, and all this kind of stuff. And time management. There's just not enough time management. Not enough time to manage, even under the best case scenario. And that's the reality of it. So let me get rid of a banner again. All right. I got rid of the banner. Oh, geez. All right. I'll get rid of this comment. No offense, Gary. I'm just trying to see where I am. Speaking of collecting, I've been slowly but surely rebuilding my Famous Monsters magazine collection, as am I. As am I, Richard. Now, that's something that I never want to get rid of, because the Famous Monsters magazines, one of them is over here. I don't know if I could see it. I can't point to it. This here. But this is it. Issue number 2, which is very expensive and very rare. It's hard to get a good copy of that. Anyway, but certain things that mean something to you, like the monsters, and why I purchased this, which you can see more about on my Mr. Cinemayo movie channel. Check my movie channel out. The monster kits that I used to have as a boy bring me back to my childhood. And these things, something like this, I can put up, eventually I'll put on top of the shelf and I'll see it all the time. But anyway, so there's certain things I'm not going to get rid of and certain things I want to keep. Do you think we can expect Wings Speed of Sound Half Speed Master? Yes, I think we can. And that's a good example of something I'm not buying anymore. I had bought the first few Half Speed Masters of McCartney's catalog, and I sold them off. I just decided I'm not collecting those. It's pointless. I mean, to me. But you're going to see other pointless things, like I did send away for the Man on the Run orange vinyl. Why? Because I do want to collect all the regular albums in the Solo Beatle catalog, from John, Paul, George, and Ringo. Whatever albums come out that become part of the canon or part of their catalog, those I want. But I don't have to get the orange. I don't have to get the black. I don't have to get the yellow, the purple, the red, whatever. I don't have to do that anymore. I'm not doing it. Even if I had the money, I wouldn't do it, probably. I'll let you know when I win the lottery. Okay, so as far as that goes, let's see. The first time I saw Let It Be in a theater, it was a double feature with Gimme Shelter. That's a great double feature. Yeah, it's true. Nice guy. Very interesting too. Do you own the Criterion Godzilla? Yes, Chauncey Phillips, I do. Yeah. I don't mind the packaging. Generally speaking, I don't like Criterion packaging, by the way. I'm not a big fan of Criterion packaging, but I do like that one. I once listed Steel and Glass as one of my top 10 Lennon solo songs. Good for you. So do I. Very good. Let's see. I'll eat alone, but I ain't going to the movies alone unless I'm wearing a raincoat. Does the alarm clock get thrown away once retired? I've never used an alarm clock in my entire life, I don't think. I've always had the uncanny knack of waking up when I have to wake up. I know there were people like that. I used to think I was the only one, like I was a freak or something, but I never needed an alarm clock. And let me tell you something. That's another subject. I mean, there's lots of subjects on the retirement channel I'm going to put over there. Please join so you don't miss a video. I'm going to talk about how lately I'm having a hard time sleeping. I'm not an insomniac. I've never been an insomniac. I can sleep. What I mean is I wake up early. And I think I wake up early because I'm anxious to get started with the day. If I have a video, like if I have a video I want, like today I had a new Mikey Arugula video. I had the video, I kind of had it waiting, on the side. And I knew I was going to put it up when I got up. And I'll open my eyes at 5 o'clock and I'm like, I'm up. I'm an early bird. I like to get up no earlier than 6. 6 o'clock. 6 or 6:30 would be perfect for me. Even 7 a.m. I'll take. But I never, ever want to sleep past 7. But the problem is lately I haven't been getting as much sleep. I've been going to bed at like 1, falling asleep, waking up at 3 to go to the bathroom, then go back to sleep, wake up at 5. It hasn't been like a steady like 6 hours or 7 hours, What is your favorite Ringo and his All-Star Band live official release? None of those All-Star Band albums really, really like appeal to me too much. I think if I'm going to pick one, though, I like is it from Montreux? Live from Montreux? I think, excuse me, 1992. The 1992, I think it is, lineup. I think that's my favorite one, the Live from Montreux. But the real Ringo Starr live album that I like best is the VH1 Storytellers. VH1 Storytellers. But if I'm going to be, if I want to be James Bond, which James Bond do I want to be? Any of them, really. But as long as they get the girls, it's okay with me. Should an American play James Bond? That's interesting. That's a very interesting question. I get, yeah. If you have an American that can sound and seem British, that's fine with me. If he's convincingly British and you wouldn't know, and there's lots of actors out there that are like they're English or Australian and they play American. Yeah, if it's convincing, I wouldn't mind. Back in the 70s, was it uncool to be a Beatles fan in your circle? I was an outcast among mine. Yeah, it was considered uncool in a way, too. I remember around 1979, I went to school, 1976 even. Think about it, 1976, way back then. I was in freshman year in high school, and Kiss was very big, and people were Kiss fans in my class, and they used to say the Beatles broke up 6 years ago. Beatles are done, they're finished. Ringo Starr's a lousy drummer. Peter Criss, that's how I knew the names. I didn't know Kiss, but I knew the name. Oh, you kidding me? Peter Criss is such a better drummer and all this stuff. And I remember they made fun of Yellow Submarine. We all live in a Yellow Submarine. The guy made fun of it. Anyway, they always have those people that think the Beatles are they're done. It's a long time ago. Forget it. They were saying that as early as 6 years after the breakup. Now we're sitting here, 56 years after the breakup, and still they're very popular, and still all these channels are on YouTube discussing them, and all these views that I'm getting. Come on, But anyway, it wasn't that cool either. Yeah, it wasn't. What's my thoughts on the first two Fireman albums? I'll let you know when I play them all the way through. I've been promising to do that for years, putting it off. I have not heard all the Fireman stuff. I will not see that movie, The Bride. I saw a little clip, and it's a joke. It's like a comedy. There's no way I'm going to see that stupid movie. No way. Hey, what do you say there, little girl? Huh? Wait a minute there. Stretch Cunningham died there, Edith. Huh? I gotta go there and I gotta deliver urology. Okay, Joe, I'm going to see the Guess Who with Randy Bachman and Burton Cummings in June. Can't wait. The opening act will be Don Felder of the Eagles. I've seen Burton Cummings and Randy Bachman, in the Ringo's All-Star Band. I want to live as long as I don't have to yell, I'm finished from the bathroom. Good point. That's a good point. I love Walls and Bridges, but I find the sliced cover annoying. I'm sure some people love the cover. I love the cover. Very, very creative design. I do love it, I got to tell you. Who do you think sings Get Back better, Paul or John, like in the Get Back movie? Oh, Paul. I love John, but Paul. And Paul also sings Oh Darling. Great. I don't know what the hell John was thinking, saying Oh Darling, I could have sang it better. It's more my style than Paul's. I'm sorry, Oh Darling, Paul nails it. One of his greatest vocal performances. For all you people out there that think it's always John, and I don't give Paul kudos. Here you go. Absolutely not. No, absolutely not. Can you ask your girlfriend sometime, should the Harry Potter characters have stayed children and not grown older in the movies? With them adopting adult problems in the later films. Should they have stayed children and not grown older? I'll try to remember to ask her that. Check in with me. Paul sings Get Back imitating Canned Heat, which it was great to see in the movie. Okay. I'm interested in Famous Monsters number 41. I have that. The cover is a werewolf movie that I have never seen, but would like to know which one it is if you know. I think I don't really. I know the cover. I see the image in my mind. They use that several times. I don't think that picture is actually from a werewolf movie. I think it's. I'm thinking that picture it's a generic werewolf thing. It's not like from a movie, but I think the closest it comes to is a movie called The Return of the Vampire from 1943, If you look and see a movie, I don't know if you know the movie Return of the Vampire has has Bela Lugosi as a vampire, but has a werewolf assistant, and it looks close to that werewolf. But I don't. I think it's just a painting or something. That's not a real werewolf movie. Let's see. Okay, I am collecting the Paul Half Speed vinyl reissues, beautiful clean pressings and top-notch sleeve production with a nice colored obi. Yeah, I bought them. I bought them at first because I love the obi, nice color. I love it, but just me, Gary. Everybody's different. I'm trying to back off that because I can't buy everything just to put it on the shelf. And even though the sound is great, well, what about the sound? What about when they remastered certain CDs again? What about the Paul McCartney archive collection when they remastered the archives again? Now they're doing the half-speed masters, and pretty soon there'll be something else, digital 5.1. Over and over and over, Will you see Batman Meets the Bride? I've never heard of that. Never heard of that, George. I get up at 4:30 every day. What time do you go to bed, Gary? I'm curious about that one. That's too early even for me. I'm a morning person, but when I say morning person, I'm talking about 6 a.m. 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. My father who was 91 only needed 2 hours of sleep a night, but he slept in a chair for most of the day. Well, yeah, I doze off and nap too much myself. Have you ever been to a Beatles museum or exhibition? Yeah, I've been to those. Not much I can say about them. Should Real Love have been the first reunion single and Free as a Bird been the second? It worked out fine. I don't know. It worked out okay. I don't think there's anything to say that maybe they should have done it differently. Which Bond girl would you like? Oh, boy. A lot of a lot of them. Where do you begin with here? Ursula Andress in Dr. No. That's the first Bond movie. Let's see. I'm not sure what love. Skip that. Barbara Bach, Barbara Starkey, Ringo's wife, from The Spy Who Loved Me. I like Sophie Marceau. Sophie Marceau from The World Is Not Enough. And all the ones in between. Holly Berry. Many people have sleep issues as they age. When I was young, I was knocked out for 8 hours. Now I wake up several times each night. Same here. So I know it's normal. Now, if I get to the point that I want to get to, where I've lost the amount of weight that I want to lose, hopefully, and I eat better and stay eating better, because that's also going to be on my retirement channel. It's also about health, diet, well, all that kind of stuff, living life, lifestyle. So go over there when I start that up again. Hopefully that'll help. I'm hoping it'll help. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I bought Tug of War when it first came out. April 26th, 1982. I was 20 years old. Yeah, I remember certain dates I remember. Yeah, I bought it. Did you miss the fest for Beatles fans this year, and you think they'll come back bigger and stronger? No, I didn't miss it at all. I'm glad they took a break for a number of reasons. I wasn't ready to go to the fest this year, and this year I'm having an anniversary with my girlfriend, and the money, the financial cost. This was a good year to take off for me personally. Do I think they're going to come back and bigger and stronger? I'm doubtful. I have my doubts that they're going to do anything next year. If they do, I'd be very happy. I would love to see the Beatles Fest be revamped, reworked, and a whole new way to kick it off for the 60th anniversary of Sgt. Pepper, 60th anniversary of the Summer of Love, 1967 to 2027, the number 7. How great is that? Is there any albums that you own all three, vinyl, CD, and cassette? Yeah, quite a bit. Many of them. Have you seen Godzilla -1? Yeah, I saw Godzilla -1. Loved it. I thought it was one of the greatest Godzilla movies ever made. And sometimes I even think it's the best Godzilla movie ever made. please check out my movie channel. We did a couple of things on there. I did my own review of it, I think. But I know Tom Hagnani and myself, sometimes Tom's a partner with me over there on my movie channel. We did a video like the two of us talking about the movie, if you're interested. The Beatles are legendary, will always be discussed. You got that fucking right. I don't have any interest in the Michael Jackson biopic, actually. I don't. I think what I'll do with that is I'll wait to hear word of mouth. I'll wait for reviews. I'll wait for people to tell me who I know and trust, it was good or it was a joke. Because I heard lousy things about the Elton John movie, and I heard lousy things from some people about the Queen movie. So I'm like, I don't really want to see it. Depends. Hello, Elvin. How are you? What are your thoughts on King Kong versus Gamera or Godzilla versus Gamera? I think there has to be a Godzilla versus Gamera movie. And I'm talking about a Japanese version, not an American version. I want to see the Japanese companies get together to make Godzilla versus Gamera. People have wanted that for a long time, for decades and decades and decades. Where did you or Mikey meet the Yellow Sweeties, and how much money do you think Mikey has invested in his collection? I can't imagine how much money Mikey's got invested in his collection. He's got quite a bit, I think. But as far as the Yellow Sweeties, I don't know. You'll have to ask him about that one. The thing is, in 5 or 10 years' time, there'll be another Beatles anniversary releases. Yeah. I'm gonna have to start winding this down. I'm having a great time. I could go for another 2 hours here, but the whole thing is, I don't want these to be too long on the playback when people play them back. When you're a vinyl addict, sometimes you allow yourself a slip. The McCartney half-speed masters are mine, and that's fair enough. My sleep is broken at night by going for a leak 2 or 3 times. Luckily for me, it's only one. But what's interesting is, like I said, I sleep sitting upright on a recliner, and I stretch out the bottom for my feet, and I go back a little bit with my feet up. I've gotten into a habit for the last 3+ years sleeping in a recliner. When I sleep sitting up like that, I only have to go 1 time in the night, which is still 1 time too many. I believe in uninterrupted sleep. But when I was lying in the bed, I tried going back to the bed for a while and lying in the bed. Then I had to get up at least 2 nights. Laying down, I have more problems sleeping sitting up, which I think is understandable. If you were asked by Apple to choose the track list for Anthology 5, what unreleased stuff would you choose? I know there's all popular stuff people want to hear. The longest version of Helter Skelter. They want to hear Carnival of Light, which I couldn't give a crap about, to tell you the truth. It's supposed to be shit. Maybe one of the things is maybe the version, I think it's take 20 of Revolution 1. I've heard that I like that. But for me, I would just rather them go back into the vaults and try to find more outtakes maybe that we haven't heard before. There's nothing really I want them to put on that we know of already that I think of. I'd like to hear stuff that, other than the fact that I just thought of an answer to that. There's stuff like outtakes of I'm a Loser, outtakes of Thank You Girl, outtakes of From Me to You that we've heard. Stuff like that. Outtakes of Misery, outtakes of There's a Place, all of the takes of I Saw Her Standing. Like there's still a lot of stuff. That's what I want. The Beatles' wives were lovely, but I don't think you would get on the wrong side of Cynthia, she being a Liverpool girl. I always wonder what a slow version of Please Please Me might have sounded like. I don't think it was ever recorded. Yeah, it sounded like a Roy Orbison song. I agree, Godzilla -1 was really great. Do you have the Beatles catalog on cassette? I have a lot of them, mostly the American Capitol ones. Maybe I have all of them, but I don't need them. Cassettes also, I'm going to be axing a bunch of those. They're just sitting around. On your movie channel, you could go to film locations and show how they changed in that. I won't be doing that. I'm not much for that. I'm not a big traveler. I know other people do that. There are a lot of good videos on YouTube of people who've done that. When is the next Mike Arugula episode? I just put it up today. I don't know if you know. I put a new Mike Arugula episode up this morning. We're trying to do one a month. So the idea is to put one Mike Arugula episode up before each month runs out. Okay, I'm going to start winding this down now, folks. So let me just... These streams are great to have on in the background after the event. It's like you have a radio station, a podcast, and the link just flies. Yeah, I do that. I mean, other people. I listen to other people's live streams and podcasts. I put them on when I'm walking in the mall or when I'm driving in a car. So I do that. I wish Polythene Pam had a longer version. Yeah, I like that too. I wouldn't mind a longer version. I sleep the same way on a recliner for the last 12 years. And when will they release the black and white version of Godzilla -1? I have the color version. I'm not interested in the black and white version, honestly, to tell you the truth, but maybe they'll put it out. Do you sing Beatles songs when you are walking around? No, I don't. Okay, Terry says, great stream, peace and love. I'm going to wind this down now. Thank you all for being here. When I was a kid, so let me tell you what you like the Godzilla movies. Let me tell you what's coming up again. Like I said, on the 25th, February 25th at 5 p.m. Eastern. Write it down. We're going to be doing the next Collectors Anonymous Collectors Show for collectors addiction kind of thing, I like to say. And we're going to have at least one guest on there, maybe more. That's February 25th at 5 p.m. Also, today being Saturday, Monday, check out my channel, Mr. Cinemayo. Every Monday, we do a movie show where we have a talk show with myself, Tim Allen, Tom Hagnotti. Sometimes a guest comes up like 4D Man. And we talk about movies and television and things like that, collections, what we got recently, movies we like. We take, live streams with you people. That's over at Mr. Cinemayo. That's Monday late afternoons. I don't always know the exact time. It could be 4 o'clock, 4:30, 5 o'clock. All you got to do is subscribe and wait for the ads. It'll tell you when it's going to be on. Okay. Now then we go to Wednesday. For Wednesday of next week, we're going to have the Joe and Danny Show. The Joe and Danny Show, again, is not here now again. The Joe and Danny Show is going to the third channel. That's the retired channel, and the lifestyle channel and the rant channel. So what does this all mean? People say, this is confusing, Joe. This is getting very confusing. I can't follow these channels. They will make what's what? Well, the thing is, if you subscribe to all three of them, the Mayo trilogy, the Mayo trio, the Mayo triad, the trifecta, if you subscribe to all three channels, naturally, whenever I do a video, it'll pop up for you. Oh, he's got the video. He's got the live stream. So you'll just come across them because you subscribe to all three. That's what I think you should do. And I thank you all. Three is already too many in a lot of ways, seriously. Favorite early horror films, the Universal Monster Classics, Universal Studios. Thank you very much, Debbie. I appreciate you, that you appreciate the show. And I'll talk soon, everybody. I know I left something out. Somewhere I left something out. Oh, tonight I'm going to be on Mr. Sticker Mania for the Mike Arugula birthday bash. That's over at Mr. Sticker Mania, like the stickers. That's going to be at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Cheers, everybody.